Are you curious about how Capstone Leadership Solutions can help your small healthcare organization to improve and grow with more speed and ease? If so, reach out to us at capstoneleadership.net. There's a contact us page, or you can email us at info@capstoneleadership.net. We're here to help.
I would rather invest in my employees than run several TV ads. Not that we don't do regular advertising, but what's better than to hear from an employee's mouth? These are the great services that we offer, the specialists that are here with us now. And to be at those events and talking to our community and answering their questions, I would much rather them hear from engaged employees who love their jobs about why they should choose Schoolcraft Memorial Hospital than hope that they see it on social media. So I think it's an investment in community benefit when we're engaging employees in some of those activities.
Welcome to Culture Change RX, the podcast for healthcare professionals that are committed to creating a thriving workplace culture, improving the experiences of employees and patients, and ultimately unlocking their organization's next level of potential. I'm Sue Tetzlaff, your host and co-founder of Capstone Leadership Solutions. Join me and my insightful guests each week as we share actionable insights for navigating the crucial people side of the business of healthcare. Subscribe now for a weekly dose of Culture Change RX. Now let's dive into this week's conversation where culture change takes center stage.
Welcome to another episode of Culture Change RX. And this is one of those episodes where I have a guest in the studio. And we'll start by having Sara introduce herself. And then we're going to have a conversation today around community engagement and employee engagement in the community. But we'll start out with an introduction. Welcome, Sara. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. So nice to chat with you again. I am the marketing director at Schoolcraft Memorial Hospital. I've been here 10 years and I'm just excited. I'm really passionate about this topic, and working with Capstone has been amazing for our organization. So would love to share some of the tactics we're using.
Wonderful. And not many organizations have as much experience as yours does in working with our framework and adopting it and making it yours, making it better and making it work for so long. And you've been there for a majority of that time, and in particular involved with the community related initiatives. So let's start with maybe describing the context in which you lead an employee community relations team. And I'd love for you to set the stage of the context of how that team fits in an overall structure of an initiative that your organization calls a cornerstone initiative.
Yeah, I've been leading the team the entire time I've been at the organization, which has been fun. And I remember starting, and we have these monthly give back days where we dress down and raise money, and there's a health fair. I said, oh, those sound fun. We have really changed this team and program, and it has grown into so much more over the years. But we meet typically monthly with our community relations team. And because of the fun events that we get to plan, we definitely attract those employees that are always willing to go above and beyond, take their weekends, evenings to give back to the community. So you're surrounded by people who really care about their workplace and the culture here, as well as giving back. So I've made a lot of friendships in leading this team as well, which has been great. But we do have some really creative, talented people that are always looking to improve and change the way we do things and add new events each year and perfect the ones that we've been doing for many years. So it's a great way to collaborate and involve departments that maybe you don't typically work with on a daily basis, but that collaboration really helps to foster friendships at work as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And actually, when you mention that phrase, foster friendships at work, the ones that you're creating, but also the team members and even employees that are volunteering and assisting that are outside of the team, that's really highly correlated in the research related to employee retention and engagement. So it creates a lot of positive spinoffs for the organization related to the culture of engagement. Your organization was a partner of Capstone back when we first started our company. actually have the honor of being our very first official partner that adopted our framework. And 13 plus years later, it's still an important part of the organization and how it organizes its leaders and its teams to continually make improvements. And I was really thinking, I was trying to reflect back to those very early years. And I was really thinking about how when teams like this are getting formed, there's this ramp up phase. And maybe you can't even remember that. And you grab the baton for something that was started. Probably the level of engagement involvement you have now is different and has changed over time. Can you maybe explain a little bit about what you've seen as far as the change in employee engagement and involvement in community initiatives over the time you've been there, which has been a decade, which is amazing?
Yeah, it definitely has changed. Like I said, we started off with doing a couple of events, parades, all the typical things. But as you create those relationships in the community, you get invited to more events as well and more sponsorship requests. And that's another way we give back. We absolutely budget for and make sure we could give back to our community financially. But the past few leaders that I've worked for have really felt like community marketing and community engagement is essential. We should be everywhere. Like whenever there's something happening in our town, we should be there. We should be a part of that. I recently attended a conference and they were talking about how all of the data tracking metrics that are not allowed are really affecting companies and hospitals. And that you really have to start with this boots on the ground approach and start building relationships in your community. And I laughed and I said, that's what we do. We do community marketing and we show up, we sponsor Little League teams and we give out water at the major Folk Fest event in our downtown and we go to music in the park. And we're just really trying to be a partner wherever there is a celebration happening. And in addition to that, we've looked at our community health needs assessment and we've looked at what are the needs, how can our team engage and feed into that process, collecting that information, listening to what's needed, what community meetings do we need to attend, and who can we bring to the table here to solve some of the community issues that are happening. So we never want to be a stranger in our towns. We always want to be looked at as a partner.
I love that. That's a great vision for a community hospital, isn't it? It's like taking the walls down and the community coming in and you going out and we're just all part of one open system where we're engaged together. And yeah, it does sound like from that event you just recently went to where they're talking about this is the pathway forward. It has been your pathway forward for more than a decade. It's not something new or different for you all. It's who you are and what you do. One of the things too that I know in working with probably now well over 200 employee-driven teams across dozens of small and rural healthcare organizations over the last 13 or so years is that the individual employees engaged in these teams are contributing to the organization beyond their day-to-day job descriptions. So they might be a plumber, they might be a nurse aide, they might be somebody that's working in the billing office. And now they're contributing to the big picture success of their community hospital. And they're given the opportunity to do that. And then they really enjoy that opportunity and they get a lot of pride from being involved. Do you know of like any stories of an individual employee and you don't have to name them by name, but an individual employee or an individual event where it really was a positive impact for the employee that kind of is share worthy on the podcast today? I'm like making you search your brain for that, but I just love the stories.
I have an employee, I have to giggle because I always say, oh, is your husband coming along? And she always says, he has a choice and he works here too. But just is so engaged. And this year, she took the lead on our 4th of July parades. And you wouldn't believe the creativity and the carving at home and the woodwork and the painting and the float construction and just like that extra. But the joy to see her watch it all come together. And it's just infectious when you have someone like that on your team. I'll name her. Her name is Hannah. She's incredible. And her husband, Dominic, gets dragged into all of our events and he's wonderful too. But it makes a difference when you have a leader that's not just doing it because it's on the agenda. They're taking it and they're doing the extra to really reflect what your organization is about. They get it. And I think it's a wonderful thing to have on a team, to have someone carry you. I'll tell you, I am not the most creative person. I am not artsy and I love organizing events and logistics, but you need to have both types of people on your team to balance the tasks versus the creativity. And we do have that. We're very fortunate.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of untapped interests of our staff, right? That they have these skills and these passions and these interests, and maybe in their day-to-day job, they get to use them to some level or extent, but maybe not. And then these teams become a place where they can really play all out with some of their real talents. And they really are talented. And sometimes it's a place to develop new interests and talents too. I love coaching team members for that too, is maybe you don't think that you would be good at X, Y, or Z and want to raise your hand and say, I'll do that for the team in this next event or project. But it's a place to maybe develop some skills or to be exposed to them and see what capabilities or interests you have so they can grow in that way too.
I wanted to mention, you talked about the growth of the program. So we actually have like it in policy now, like it is a program for community engagement, and we call it SMH Cares. So our organization pays employees their full wage to work in these events. So if it does fall outside of regular business hours and you are working evenings or weekends, we've invested that. We know how important it is to have our faces out there. We had the volunteerism before, absolutely, but this is just a way to reward and give back, to say thank you to our employees who do the extra, come out for us for those big events.
I love that. That's pretty rare. And it really aligns the organization's values to its policies. I've seen paid volunteer time, like PTO, paid volunteer time in very few places. And that's really amazing that you've aligned that. You know, that speaks to something, though, that I know dollars aren't abundant and overflowing for most small and rural hospitals, and we're very good stewards. And we invest in things that we believe are important, and we invest in things that have a return on investment. So, why would an organization, like, what would be the benefits or the upsides to this? There must be some positive wins and benefits the organization sees from this, or it wouldn't do that. You wouldn't have a policy like that. You wouldn't have a team like this.
Building the culture internally is obviously important. Like I said, that community marketing piece, like I would rather invest in my employees than run several TV ads. Not that we don't do regular advertising, but what's better than to hear from an employee's mouth? These are the great services that we offer, the specialists that are here with us now, and to be at those events and talking to our community and answering their questions. I would much rather them hear from engaged employees who love their jobs about why they should choose Schoolcraft Memorial Hospital than hope that they see it on social media. So I think it's an investment in community benefit when we're engaging employees in some of those activities. And we're not always doing the fun events. We're also out there educating. We're running summer camps for kids. Some of the departments will do speaking engagements, attend career fairs. And we're always trying to get the youth into that next level if there's an interest in healthcare. I think it does align with our culture of reward and recognition and thanking our employees for the amazing work that they do.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned earlier the community health needs assessment. And one way that we coach teams, such as a community team, is that you don't just have a parade to have a parade. You don't just have an educational session just to have one. You really need to be intentional about who you're partnering with, where and when you're doing it, what is the focus of it, and that it's really aligned with your community needs, that it's really aligned with the organization's growth priorities. And so it's almost like when we talk about celebration, party on purpose, but parade on purpose, that we're really promoting and educating very strategically. So while it's fun, while it's creative, it's also very strategic. So I'm wondering, what are the things right now that are very strategic at Schoolcraft that your team is helping contribute to?
We just underwent our community health needs assessment, and we're actually working on our implementation strategy right now. And I know our focus areas are looking at pediatric care. How can we increase that and across domains, whether it be mental health, family, practice access, etc. We're looking at substance abuse, and we're looking at food insecurity. And so those are all conversations we're having, and having multiple people at the table from multiple departments is really helpful when you're trying to solve those problems or come up with ideas on how to take a strategic plan like the community health needs assessment and put it into practice. And I'm excited about our results this year and how we're going to move that forward. So I think I'll have some stories for you next time we meet.
Yeah, I know. And it is like a cycle, isn't it? Your team has an annual plan, then you have a quarterly plan, and then there's these other things that happen, like maybe your strategic plan gets updated every few years, your community needs assessment. So it's really a dynamic, moving process that even though you might do a parade every year, the focus of that parade might shift. And then you got to get creative around that. So that keeps it from getting boring. I know that sometimes when teams are doing the same thing over and over again, like they have traditional events or whatever, they say, wow, that could get boring. But it doesn't when you're shifting the priority. And then you also have a challenge, make each one better than anyone before.
For sure. And this year, we're celebrating 75 years of independence in our communities and the communities that we serve. So our overarching theme for the whole year, we just celebrated our anniversary in June, is just that 75th. So we are having a huge downtown event involving all of our downtown vendors. We're having like a street party to celebrate, and we're bringing live music downtown to get people out and learning more about our services and our commitments.
Mm.
It is fun when the new opportunities come and you get to be creative and do something a little different, for sure.
Mm-hmm. What I'm hearing and seeing in your organization and feeling in your organization and community is that there really is this local support for the local healthcare system, that there's really support for it. And I know that my history of the organization back 14, 15 years ago was something that the board, that the leaders, that the executives wanted to build and really be able to strengthen, because it had gotten into a place of maybe being not as strong as it could be. But it seems like over the last decade or so in the history of a 75-year-old organization where that can wax and wane, that you guys are really onto something and it's working. And that there is this different sense about the community and its support of
It's
the local
palpable, like
hospital.
you could feel it. I always tell the story. We were touring a doctor one day, and she said, "Did you email like the whole hospital and tell them to smile, like, because I was coming?" Like, she said, "I have never walked through a healthcare organization where everyone smiles and says hello." And you feel that when you're at our events and we're in the community also, but when you come through our doors, like so many people say and comment in our reviews and thank you cards that, wow, your staff, like they love their jobs. And that is so important to us, to maintain that engagement and that excitement in your everyday job, but then to take that excitement and do more in our community. It just continues outside our walls.
Mm-hmm.
It is something different. And people who have worked here for many years, maybe this is their only place of work. Maybe they don't recognize how different our culture is, but people who we hire from other healthcare organizations who come into ours can't believe the amount that we invest in our employees and our community, because it's very different. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Capstone Leadership Solutions has been a huge part of that.
one of the things that we're really proud of is that organizations like yours, teams like yours can be autonomous and independent to keep having this happen year after year and evolving it and really optimizing it year after year without ongoing support from us, that it really is a system or a set of systems that you lock in and then you just refine and optimize over time, and they can serve you just like a new building, like your beautiful new hospital that you built years ago and the new buildings on your campus. Those buildings will serve you and the community for a very long time. But your culture in these systems and these teams and your leadership effectiveness, that should serve you for a very long time too. And I think that because we're our very first hospital and client that adopted our approach in these systems, and then we're the first ones to get autonomous and independent long term in the use of them, you're this living case study of how it works and how it can and should work for a decade plus and counting. So we're very proud of the efforts that not just your team has made, but the other teams that are in your structure as well that support your Cornerstone initiative. What we do know about teams like yours and a lot of hospitals that engage with the community is that usually there's some traditional type events that the employees and the community can count on, that this is going to happen every year. And they may involve education, they may involve just gathering, or they may involve fundraising or a combination of that. And then again, you want to make sure that these events don't get stale and that people don't disengage with them because they get boring or too typical or predictable. What is maybe an event or two that your organization puts on in the community where it's really something that's traditional now in the community that the employees and the community alike can look forward to?
Definitely have a couple. Our health fair comes to mind because I remember that was a long-standing tradition, but the past couple of years we've infused it with like family-focused events. And instead of people coming in with excitement to get their labs drawn, they're coming in with small children, and they're looking at preventative services, and they're connecting with resources that maybe they never would have done. They love the children's activities that we've incorporated into our health fair. So I think you have to look at your audiences for sure when you're planning events to see who's missing, and what vendors can we bring to the table that would really benefit that population. So I would say we've definitely enhanced our health fair. People really look forward to that. We usually see about 400 people come through.
Very
Another
nice.
we do is the Festival of Trees. This is something that actually started I had seen in my hometown. And about 6 years ago, we thought, let's try it. Maybe Manistee could be a smaller version of the Festival of Trees. And that has really grown. And what it does, it allows us to collaborate with different businesses and showcase what our downtown businesses have. We do have external sponsors as well that support us financially or decorate trees. So it's really a regional event with donations and prizes, and people come and put their raffle tickets in the trees that they want to win. It's a display of the creativity of our community. It's not just us. But in bringing people to the hospital to see the trees, it allows us another touch point to share what services, what investments we're making with those fundraising dollars, and make the community feel like they're a part of something bigger.
Mhm.
And then for fundraising, an additional event we added in the last couple of years is a gala. So once a year, we have this moving gala. We pick different venues so that we can be in different parts of the communities that we serve. And our fund development team takes the lead on that, and they invite sponsors from across the region as well and healthcare partners to come and partner and raise funds for equipment we're needing. And this year we have 2 new anesthesia machines we're purchasing with fundraising dollars. So I think it's a great way to have a great night and have fun, but also know that you're contributing to an amazing cause. That involvement in community and bringing new families in and new audiences listening to what we're doing, it really sets us apart. You don't see that from all the healthcare systems, but
These events, they sound like you have a knack for organization and logistics, and I'm sure there's a lot involved with that, but it's not something that just one person or one department, because a lot of times in small and rural hospitals or small healthcare organizations, the community relations department or marketing is a department of one. And you just can't pull off events like this, the volume of them, the size of them, without a team and without additional help. Have there been challenges over the years or with certain events where getting enough help is the real challenge to it going well?
I think so. In developing that framework called SMH Cares was a huge driver behind that. Like, how can we ask employees to work their 40 hours and then also come back and work the weekends and the evenings to help us make these events successful? And is it right to expect it? But we believe so much that it has an impact, and you can't put a dollar amount on what that does for community when we show up. That was a huge driving force around creating the SMH Cares program to make sure there is that reward and recognition. But I'll tell you, when you engage and ignite the spirit of your workforce, like before we had that program, you just attract beautiful people who want to do the right thing. And it's those people who really care that come to the table to help out for sure. But you have to engage community partners too. When we do the gala planning or the Festival of Trees, we're engaging community volunteers. So it's not just our teams. And that is very important. And if you don't have relationships in your community, when you come knocking for help with an event or a donation, you're not going to see that come through. You have to build those relationships. So that's very important to us. We never just want to send a letter in the mail once a year and that's the only time you hear from us. We want to be active in supporting the causes that matter to local businesses as well.
That's another reason to make sure that we're, as an organization, really intentional on not just doing things to do them, but that they really do have real meaning and purpose and that they are a priority for the community members, or else one, they won't give their time, and two, they won't give their money. So if it really matters to the community and it's spot on, then right there, we're one step ahead to getting that support and that engagement as well. I'm wondering, we've got a few minutes left here as we wrap up this conversation. And is there anything else that when you were thinking about having this conversation today where you're like, I really want to share this message, or I really want to share this story example, or I want to inspire or equip people in this way about engaging with the community?
I would say that you're often trying to solve a problem that someone else is also trying to solve. And you have to bring the right players to the table, especially when you're talking about community needs. Just look for those partnerships. I remember being a department of one. I'm fortunate now I'm a department of three, but I really put a lot of work into this to show this agency that we needed to put our time and treasures into community engagement, because that is where we're building trust and increasing our market share for sure. It's a tactic, but I don't know. I just feel like you have to come together. You have to share the vision. And as a leader, you also have to step back and let everyone else share their ideas and build a cohesive event. I always feel bad when I get the credit. They'll say, oh, that was such a great event. And I'm like, you have no idea how many people are behind it. Maybe I did the TV interview, but there's a whole team behind the scenes making this happen. And just making sure you're recognizing your teams and appreciating them, it goes a long way.
Oh, that's such a good point, Sarah. You're right. It's really a team effort, and there's a lot of people that have contributed to it. I just want to congratulate Schoolcraft Memorial Hospital on 75 years of positive impact in rural Michigan and maintaining its independence, getting bigger and stronger over the years, even in spite of a lot of industry challenges. Your community hospital is such an important community asset. Obviously, we're a little biased. We totally support your approach that you're using to really make sure that community engagement is really a cornerstone of your efforts to be a strong community asset and community hospitals. Congratulations on 75 years and cheers to the next 75 and beyond.
Thank you. We are so excited and looking forward to what's next. It's an ever-changing atmosphere, and it's just all I can say is just be present in your community, find the people who will partner with you, link arms with you, and work with people who are smarter than you and can do things you can't. There's so much that can come out of great teamwork, and I'm looking forward to see how we progress over the years. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sara, for being here to be a voice for your organization and its community efforts. So thank you, Sara, and enjoy your celebrations of 75 years this summer. I did see that big schedule in the newspaper of all the activities going on. So I know it's a busy time for you and your team and your organization and your community in total. So enjoy those celebrations this summer. Thanks again, Sara.
Thanks for tuning in to Culture Change RX. If you found value in today's episode and you are a believer in fostering change in healthcare, join us in making a difference. Follow, rate, and review our podcast on your favorite platform. Share it with colleagues and your network. Together, we can make a lasting impact. Until next week, keep inspiring positive change.